Hello, welcome to this your channel, the Meta Eurofan. That's me. Norway gives its good path in the competition on these last years with mixed results but always being a finalist. For last year's contest, Van Gogh was in charge of representing another country and I thought they brought a quite interesting proposal with a lot of energy and intensity. They will end up however in the last place of the final ranking, holding the obvious distinction of being the country placing last the most times in the grand final, more than any other competing country at the contest. That does not let them down on keeping its Eurovision appointment, however, looking to achieve their fourth victory. For this, we will take a look at the next artist that had the opportunity of waving the Norwegian colors on the main stage of Basel. Let's go! For today's episode, I'm going to review the Norwegian entry for Eurovision 2025, which has been represented by the singer Kyle Alessandro with the song Lighter. As if he were a gun of fire, he has come with all his energy and charisma to literally light up the contest stage. Without further delay, let's move on with the review. We start as usual by reviewing his biography and career before attending the contest in Switzerland. Kyle Alessandro Villalobos, mostly well known by his true names, is a Spanish-Norwegian singer and songwriter in the genres of pop and R&B, coming from the town of Levanger, raised between the town of Steinkjer and the city of Fuengirola, Spain, and living currently in the city of Trondheim, located in central Norway. His roots are curiously quite linked to Spain, as his mother, after being born in Norway, she was raised in the aforementioned city of Fuengirola, where she will meet what it will be Kyle's father, and who wished she would start a family before moving back to Norway. This multicultural background will be inherited by Kyle by speaking Norwegian and Spanish very fluently, and he also speaks English and Portuguese. He demonstrates a wide interest for music since very early age, and since he was a kid, he would start to participate in talent shows, having his first experience in 2014 at the age of 7 by participating in the audition for the first and only season of the Norwegian version of Idol Junior, although he was not ultimately selected. And thereafter in 2017, being 10 years old by then, by participating in the 8th season of the Norwegian version of Got Talent, where he would reach the final show with a golden pass thanks to his vocal abilities and stage presence. That will be the beginning of a musical career that will continue to grow, participating later as a guest artist in many musical shows of the Norwegian television, and releasing his debut studio album with tracks both in Norwegian and Spanish that will consolidate him as a child artist in the Norwegian musical scene. He will continue releasing singles in the following 2 years that have had likewise a very good reception by the public, proving to be a very versatile artist despite his short age, with a wide ability to connect with people through his lyrics and exploring diverse musical genres in the process, rather than the multicultural influence from his family. The COVID-19 pandemic supposed a break for Kyle's musical career for some time until 2022, in which he gets a full step. He will join the group Umami Tsunami, with which he will start to have his first contact with the Eurovision world by being one of the contestants in 2023 in the 61st edition of Melody Grand Prix, the well-known Norwegian national final. They will compete with the song Geronimo, which was supposed the first time for Kyle singing in English, having advanced to the final show, but thereafter ended up last in the final ranking, having won that time the singer Alessandra, who ended up attending the contest in the edition held in Liverpool, United Kingdom, as we already know. At the same time, while still on the band, he will start to release his first singles in English, and he will also release his second studio album as well, with tracks likewise in Norwegian and Spanish. After his participation in Melody Grand Prix with Umami Tsunami, he will have a collaboration with one of his fellow contestants in the edition of that year, the singer Kay Gulbrandsen, who also was a Norwegian representative for the contest in 1987 during the edition held in Brussels, Belgium, to release a dual version featuring Kyle of her entry Tarari Paradis. And thereafter he will release 2 more singles with the band until he will ultimately decide to leave it to focus again in his solo career. In fact, As part of his second phase in his musical career, he had the idea of attempting to represent his country at Eurovision once again by sending a brand new song for the Norwegian national final of this year, this time as a soloist, without imagining that he would have the chance to do it. Let's see then how his Eurovision adventure begins. Initially, the Norwegian public broadcaster was doubting about continuing their participation at the contest with all the incidents happened during the last edition, in which even Goto was closely to refuse to perform in the grand final. After the contest, the EBU requested an independent audit in an attempt to fix the failures and give answers to the claims from many broadcasters, including the Norwegian one, that was following the audit very closely. The result from that process was supposed a slight turning point according to the talks held by the broadcaster with the BBU, from that decided to keep its participation in early July of last year. For this, the broadcaster will organize once again their national final Melody Grand Prix, which was arriving to its 63rd edition, to select both the artists and the song that would represent the country in Switzerland. The submission period was open in early August for last year for the Norwegian artists and songwriters who wanted to send their proposals, closing it by early September of last year. And at the same time, the broadcaster searched for possible artists by direct invitation, both to established artists in the Norwegian musical scene and in songwriting camps. This edition will have a significant change on its format, and it is because for this time, the semifinals will be discarded by opting a single final show with 10 participants competing for the ticket to Barca, keeping the same usual dynamic in the national final. However, shortly before the announcement of the contestants in last mid-January, two of the shortlisted artists ended up withdrawing in the very last minute, with the backup artists previously called, with the number of the contestants being reduced to 9. Among the chosen ones there was obviously Kyle Alessandro, who was also competing with two artists that already represented the country at Eurovision in the past. In one hand, there was the band Week One, who were the Norwegian representatives in 2005 during the edition held in Kiev, Ukraine, that were participating in the national final for the third time. And in the other hand, there was the legendary female duo Bobby Sox, who were the very first winners for Norway in 1985 during the edition held in Gothenburg, Sweden, that were participating in the national final for the second time after 40 years, which was undoubtedly a big surprise, especially for the most nostalgic Eurofans. The televised show took place in last mid-February, keeping the same voting method implemented during the last edition for the selection of the representative. After the performances of all the finalists, the voting results revealed that Kyle ended up being the undisputable winner in the national final after being the absolute favorite for both the international jury and the public, gaining subsequently after two attempts, the first one as a soloist, the right to represent Norway on the main stage of Basel. After his victory in the national final, he will work in the recording and production of the official music video for the proposal that will be officially released in last mid-March. Looking to be his own burning light. Now we're going to analyze in further detail about this proposal with which this young artist had the opportunity to step on the contest stage. The melody is a track that blends pop with baroque music, Norwegian folk and rumba flamenca, which is not strange due to the multicultural background from Kyle, looking in this case to reunite all these cultural influences in one song. Vocally speaking, Kyle has a voice that is charming and powerful at the same time, in addition that it has a huge presence. For those who know his career from his child artist phase, it is a style that, while it has been maturing over the years, it is quite distinguishing from him. Talking about the lyrics, it has been written fully in English by Kai himself together with the Swedish singer and songwriter Adam Alskov, mostly well known as Adam Woods, who has participated a couple of times in the mythical Swedish national final Melody Festival. About the contest context behind it, the guy himself has stated that it is inspired in a personal anecdote, as his mother has been diagnosed with cancer in recent years with a prognosis of 6 months left to live. She, being aware of her unstable condition, told him many times to move forward with his life and to maintain his own life at all costs. Fortunately for him and the rest of his family, his mother overcame cancer, now being in very good health condition. Additionally, in a secondary contest, Kyle also has commented that the lyrics intend to address the still existing problems from toxic masculinity in our societies, especially with the rise of personalities that are trying to reinforce those masculinity stereotypes, usually with a quite conservative profile. Reading the lyrics more in detail, it could be thought at first that the track describes the story of a person that has been deceived in a relationship that is more and more tempestuous, as it could be appreciated in the verses. While the chorus addresses how he finds the motivation and willpower to give himself his own value and not depending on other people, emotionally speaking. But it is during the bridge where the real context behind the song is described, associating in this case with those difficult moments he had to face when he knew the severity of his mother's disease, following the advice given by her by finding his inner light. The message transmitted with the track is quite important. We will always have difficult moments in our lives, whether you have experienced them, are experiencing them right now, or that may occur in the future. What is crucial is to keep our willpower and resilience despite the hard times, which allow us to face them with strength and eventually overcome them. Having seen more about this interesting and personal proposal, let's see now how he has reflected the contest described on it through the official music video. The plot presented is quite simple, developing a forest where there are fundamentally close-ups of Kyle while he performs the track, in which he is thereafter joined by 2 male dancers as the approaches to the chorus, then doing a dynamic choreography in which many fire columns are seen behind them, showing the phrase Norway for brief instance during that part of the chorus. The dynamic remains quite similar during the second verse and the second chorus, until it comes to instrumental bridge where they perform a more energetic choreography while the fire columns in the background are much more intense. The second part is much calmer with close-ups of Kyle standing out and shutting his eye, or where a flame is seen right on his pupil, trying to show somehow that inner light that it is now burning inside of him. For the final chorus, it goes back to the energetic and burning dynamic previously seen, until the performance finishes with Kyle and the male dancers finishing the choreography while the fire columns are kept in the background. Prior to the release of the official music video, Kyle already had the chance to present his proposal when he took part in the Norwegian national final. Let's see then how was his live performance during his second participation at Melody Grand Prix. Recalling the staging in the national final, it begins with Kyle sitting in the middle of a central structure on the stage that would represent some Viking runestones while he performs the first verse, with the visual graphic showing a mountainous landscape in the dimly lit with a tenuous lighting at first, and also noticing a campfire at one side of the stage. As long as the verse progresses, he stands out while the dynamic of the performance changes, with the visual graphics now showing that same landscape in flames, like if it's a wildfire, representing with it the difficulties of life. And then 4 male dancers join him in the performance to later perform the choreography during the first chorus that thereafter we will see with the music video. Among the costumes, Kyle is wearing in this case an outfit that could be interpreted as a modern adaptation of a medieval armor, while the male dancers wear outfits that look like a mix of military garments and medieval armors. The dynamic remains pretty similar during the second verse, keeping close-ups of Kyle while the male dancers are still doing other choreographies, until there are fire columns that start to appear and a row of flames at the front of the stage that are more intense during the second chorus at the first part of the instrumental bridge, while they perform the same choreographies that we will see likewise with the music video. For the second part, the stage gets almost in dark while the focus remains of Kyle until it comes the peak moment of the performance with his vocal extravaganza. While appearing a bright stripe in the visual graphics, we stand out about the mountains that are still on fire, implying that it represents the moment of strength and resilience intended to be transmitted with the track. To continue later with the same choreography from before by the final chorus until the end of the performance. It was one of the most outstanding performances of the night without any doubt, with Kyle showcasing energy and charisma throughout all the performance. In addition, that vocally he has been quite amazing. That will be evidenced with the outbursts of vocals that he will receive from both the international jury and the public, which will portray him as the undisputable winner, pretty much even above the most veteran artists that were also competing in the national final. During the preseason, he released many alternative versions of the track, an acoustic one, a club remix, and even an orchestral one, prior to the Eurovision pre-parties of the season in which he participated, although he had a relatively mixed performance, as he performed live in some of them, but he had to use playback in other ones due to being sick of his throat, although that did not stop him on doing his promotional tour of the proposal in all the chances he had. For the staging in Basel, it was quite probably that he will keep the concept already present the international final, although initially Kyle stated that he will make a costume change, as one of his fellow contestants, the Armenian singer Part, had worn a very similar outfit to the one used by him in the national final, so to avoid possible confusions with the Armenian proposal, he would have decided to do that adjustment. However, after seeing the first rehearsals, it could be evidence that the outfit worn by both Kyle and the male dancers will be an upgraded version of the original outfits, and taking into account that was Park who opted to make the changes in the costume and the staging for his proposal, there was not already any possibility to be confused between them. Apart from all that, the concept will remain quite similar, although in this case he discarded one of the dancers to stay just with 3 on stage and incorporating 2 backing singers that will remain on backstage. However, watching his live performance in the first semi-final, it has been essentially identical to what we have seen before, although adapted to the contest stage that was much bigger. In this case, the performance begins at the bottom of the stage with Kyle from the central structure, from which 2 of the male dancers appear initially. Then they move to the front of the stage little by little with the second verse. And finally, the third male dancer appears by the final chorus, although performing a breakdance steps instead of showing the choreography with them, keeping the same dynamic until the end of the performance. I have seen his performance very well executed like in the national final, showcasing a lot of strength and attitude on stage, so I did not have any doubts that he will get one of the 10 spots for the grand final, as it will eventually happen. Thereafter, during the grand final, where he was in charge of opening the show by the way, Kyle will be initially in the 21st position after the reveal that the jury votes, waiting to see if the public will grant him more points that might help him to climb more positions in the table, and in fact, the results from the televote will lift him up to the 18th place in the final ranking. Making a summary of all the comments, the Norwegian entry for this year has been quite good. Personally, I like very much his proposal as well as the message transmitted. It has undoubtedly a spot in my playlist, and I'm sure that his mother has to be very proud of him, especially to the fact that she survived her battle with cancer. Although aside from my personal taste, it is true that the proposal has mixed reactions. While many praise the vocal skills from Kyle and the overall background of the track, many others perceive the proposal as very generic and dated compared to other entries of the edition, predicting that it will have low chances to stand out. The final result represents an improvement from the last edition, although however it might have ended up quite lukewarm, taking into account that the reception of the proposal was not that overwhelming like it was in the national final. About Kyle, it is clear that he will stay focused in his new phase as a soloist. For the moment, moment he remains busy performing at concerts in both Norway and neighboring Sweden. Although surely he will not take too long on working on new music, having signed recently the contract deal with a world-renowned record label to shortly release what it will be his third studio album. This has been the Norwegian proposal of this year for the contest. Now tell me, do you feel identified with this song, or otherwise do you think there is one more in the bunch? Let me know in the comments down below so we can keep the discussion. And this is it for today's episode. I wouldn't want to finish before reminding you that like this video if it has been of your taste, by helping not only to support me but also making this content to reach to more people. Subscribe to my channel if you have not done it yet, enable notifications to be aware of the upcoming episodes, and follow me through my social media. Take care and see you in the next episode. Bye bye.